Ladies, welcome and thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks.
Thank you for the platform.
No, absolutely. We're honored to have you both. So, to get straight into it, let's hear a bit about yourselves. Leah, where you're from, where you grew up, and who is Leah?
That's a complicated question. I'm from Bloem, grew up here, born here, went to Roseview, did my high school in Brepna High. I studied at the University of the Free State, so I'm a Bloem girl. You know, this is home. I then did my articles at the University of the Free State Law Clinic. After that, I got admitted as an attorney, and then I've been practicing ever since as a lawyer. Yeah. So in 2016, though, I decided to do my own thing. So right now, I'm running my own law company. Yeah.
Yes. Thandi?
Okay, I grew up in Kimberley, and then I came to study cost and management accounting in Bloemfontein. I failed it. I failed my major over and over because it really simply wasn't something that I'm passionate about. I didn't know what I wanted to study. I didn't know what I was passionate about at the time. Started working here, moved to Johannesburg, and I've relocated to Bloemfontein. I'm currently a life coach. I finally found what I want to do, and it is in life coaching. It's in the humanities space. It's just something that I absolutely love to do. I have two beautiful children. One of them is here, Shekina.
Oh. So, Leah, being in Bloemfontein, having studied law, you say you worked for quite some time. Your crossover to entrepreneurship, what was the big moment that led to that?
I've always been a liker of things. I can't. I mean, even when I draft agreements, I can't draft as is in silence. I need to listen to music or I need to watch a video and then draft. That's the way my mind works. So even in terms of me having to start a business, I started to take up courses while I was working. And for me, it was just a natural progression. I'm a mother of three boys, so you can just imagine. For me, it was a lifestyle type of decision to say, you know what, let me try and do my own thing so that I can try and manage my own time around the people that I have in my life. So yes, it was just a natural progression. And then what really took me off the edge was in 2015. I was part of the MTN Foundation Entrepreneurship Development Program here at the university. Those 8 months were life-changing. After that, I kept telling myself, you know what, Leah, if you don't leave, if you don't start this now, you'll never forgive yourself. So after that, I mean, you have the knowledge, you have the skills, why not, you know? So it was a point of, let me do it. There'll never be a perfect time, so I took the jump. Here I am.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And you say being both of you are mothers. So for you, Thandi, were you employed previously, or did you, from studying and realizing studying wasn't, or what you were studying wasn't for you, go straight into entrepreneurship?
No, I was in corporate for a long time. For about 16 years, I was in corporate. But corporate ultimately pushed me to pursue my passion. Reason I say corporate pushed me is because although I was employed to do something else, my desk was always full of people with their problems coming to ask for advice day in, day out. And I looked forward to going to work for those people. And I realized eventually that this is something that comes so naturally to me. This is something that I love. This is something that I'm actually really good at. Why not just go in further, find out what are the avenues I can study so that I can get into the space that I actually love. And that's when I went to go study life coaching. But also, the other reason that I focused on entrepreneurship was also because of my children. I realized I was losing out on so much in terms of their growth, in terms of just me being there to navigate them through certain developmental stages. And I didn't want to miss out on my children's growth. So I wanted to eventually own my time so that I'm able to be there for my children in ways that matter.
And you know, if I can just jump on that, what actually led to the business transitioning into tech was purely because of that. I mean, if you're in business, I'm sure, especially in the service industry, you physically have to be there. So if a client calls, you have to go consult. That still didn't take away my issue with not having time with my people. Hence, I then started, okay, then I can consult with someone via Google Hangout, while my people are playing. Like I understand, I can still give advice on WhatsApp while my people are here. So that's how I transitioned into that phase. It was for the people, small people.
Yeah, and this is quite a common thing between the two of you, that it was a priority.
Yeah.
So, did you face any criticism, any difficulties?
Yes, family.
Yes?
Family said you crazy, and society, man at large, is not really supportive of going out into the world and venturing out in what you believe is your calling, particularly in matters of financial support. They believe that there's peace and there's safety in a safety net that comes to you on a monthly basis versus something that's completely unpredictable. And it doesn't have to be unpredictable. You can actually plan for it and work for it. But I mean, those are things that I ultimately learned in the entrepreneurship space. But when I was venturing out, I think only one friend was saying, go for this. This is your thing. But it doesn't mean everybody else was saying it from a bad space. It was out of concern. And I think society at large is still in that space where it believes that stay in the safety net of a salary, of a monthly salary at any cost. And I didn't want to anymore. I knew I couldn't anymore. There was just that calling in my heart to go do what I need to do with my life. Whether it works out financially or not at that time or for me was immaterial. What was important to me was not making a living anymore at the expense of actually living. And I had gotten to that point and I cut my losses and I moved forward. And it's been the best decision ever in terms of the peace that comes with it. It left me broke. But it left me broke because really it's not pap and place when you walk into the entrepreneurship space, because especially when you walk in, with really your eyes are not open to the realities of the entrepreneurial space. But I still don't regret it. It's still something that I would choose over and over again.
Having overcome that.
Yeah.
Leah,
My
any
experience
views
was
on that?
rather different. My own mother started her own thing, so the mind has always been there. So for me, it was just a point of, when are you gonna start? When are you gonna start? Better start soon. And when I did, it's hard. I'm not gonna sit here and say, "Ooh, so much fun." Sometimes it is amazing, but it's extremely hard. I think just like not everyone is meant to be an attorney and litigate and stand in court and defend a murderer or what. Not everybody's meant to be in the entrepreneurship space. It takes a certain type of skill set. You need to be quite resilient. You'll definitely get a couple of no's. I always say, people will tell me, even now I met a couple of friends, they're like, "Oh, you're doing so well." They see me on Facebook, but they see the highs.
Yeah.
They don't see the 10 lows that I've experienced before I got the high that's shining right now, So you need to have a sense of a very thick skin when you're doing this, especially with me, because I'm charting a new path. So people in my industry are looking at me like I'm crazy. Yeah.
Well, let's elaborate on that. So, you have launched the first in South Africa online legal services company,
Yes.
and you said you did that to give you more freedom. So, aside from owning your own time, that would give you freedom. Tech also gave you the freedom. What gave you the confidence, or because we experiencing a technologically developing and advanced world, but being in Bloemfontein, we just got SnapScan like last week. So, share a bit about that. What really gave you the push that is industry leading?
Shockingly enough, I don't travel a lot, but I'm very active on social media. And most of my people are not even from Bloem. And even some of my closest friends, in terms of the way that we think, it's not from Bloem, you know. So I don't think from a Bloem perspective. And even now, as we speak, about 80% of my clientele is not from Bloem, you know. I'm here, it's fine, it's home. But through technology, I'm actually able to get access to people that are outside from here. So for me, it wasn't a point of I'm from Bloem, now I must think small. I'm not about that life. When I dream big and I go, you know, like 200%, you know.
Yeah.
I get obsessed with something. And for me, with this business, you hear a lot of noise, but I'm genuinely not about that life. I don't know what they call it, but you know those horse blinders?
Yes. Yeah.
I'm like that. If I want something, I go, you say what you want to say, it's okay. But it doesn't feed me. You know, what I'm looking into will give me life. And right now, in terms of what I'm doing, what I'm pushing, is changing the country, and it's flipping amazing.
Fantastic. And you also dabbling, Thandi, in the online magazines, the articles that you're writing. How is that at all enhancing what it is that you're doing in terms of exposure? Is that a completely different dimension, or is it intertwined?
No, it's not a completely different dimension, because whether I'm speaking to someone vocally or I'm writing about social justice issues all the time. So for those that don't know, I consult with Destiny Magazine as their life coach. So they asked me to weigh in on certain articles weekly, and I do that. But all articles are geared towards social justice issues. So that helps in terms of exposure, because many of the clientele that I have in Johannesburg it comes from those articles. So it's helped in exposure, but I mean, I've got a very also interactive social media. I think a lot of people here know me from Facebook. So it's the interaction that I have, thank God for technology. The interaction that you have with people ultimately brings you your own clientele, whether you're in Bloem or whether in Joburg, it's immaterial. And what I do and the time that I have, I'm flexible enough to go back and forth. I live between Bloemfontein and Johannesburg. Week in, week out, I'm in Joburg, I'm in Bloemfontein.
So just to touch on this quickly, why Bloemfontein? I know it's home, but why here?
Okay, why am I doing my work here? I love Bloemfontein. I think Bloemfontein has such a lot of potential to grow. It's called the City of Roses. Also, Bloemfontein is one of those spaces in South Africa that still needs transformation, particularly racial transformation. We've got gender issues that are coming up, but let me just talk about the racial space. It's still one of the most divided place in South Africa in terms of racial interrelations. And I love that. And I love that in the sense that that's where most of my work is, because my hashtag vision is hashtag heal the nation. One of the things that I'm passionate about healing is a rift between black people and white people. And I'm hosting on the 3rd of June, I'm hosting a Heal the Nation talk show pertaining to rape and femicide and human trafficking at the University of the Free State. So this is a great space, I think, to play in, because also it's not congested. It gives me a lovely platform to play on the things that I'm quite passionate about, when my vision is really heal the nation. And I heal the nation in this space where I'm in.
Brilliant. You haven't given up on little old Bloem.
I always say you need to start local, but think global, and that's the space that that I'm actually in. So for me, Bloem is home. It's like that family, that drunk uncle that everybody has. I mean, you love him. I mean, he has issues, but you love him. It's family. So it's Bloem for me. Of course, I travel back and forth. Actually, I've been accepted into the Femtech Accelerator by the Standard Bank incubator starting next week. So every week up and down.
Yeah.
So that's another thing. But no, Bloem is home. Besides, at Seed Stars, it's an international competition that I was selected in. I'm the only one from the Free State, in the top 12. So for me, it's a point of we have amazing things happening here, and it's about time the whole of this country took notice. So if I now leave and go to Joburg, now Joburg must get my shine. No, I'm not about that life.
That is fantastic. Bloemfontein has really, we're hosting some phenomenal ladies, business owners that are sticking around to show South Africa what Bloem's got. We pack a punch. So just to elaborate more on the tech as it's Females Founders Month, could you impart some advice, experience, tips on how it is that technology has some insight into how it is technology has advanced your careers, the importance of social media and those interactions, and perhaps how to manage them for a small startup? And really, is it so important? Because I think, well, we know how important it is, and it's in our face every day how important it is, but straight from you, perhaps some specific examples of how technology has really enhanced what it is. Because I think in Bloem we don't believe. We do it, we try it, sometimes it doesn't work. If there's anything that you guys can share with us.
Like from my own experience, even when I was employed, I was still very active. I started my own blog, an online CV of where I'm at. So literally, if you could just Google my name, then my CV would pop up. So if you're looking for a job, if you're looking for an attorney, bam, there I am. And first point of contact in terms of if someone is looking for something, who goes to that yellow telephone book? Nobody. People are going on Google, And if I can't find you on Google, there's a problem. Who are you? So for me, I think I sort of knew, but I just didn't understand it at that stage. But once I started seeing the impact and the results of it, then I thought, oh, okay, then I could actually use this medium. And once I tapped into it, I couldn't stop. I'm a natural marketer at heart. Part of the program, the ADP program, they actually did a personality test, and one of my destined jobs is actually being in marketing. So I actually get it in terms of why when you look at the statistics, I mean now Facebook, 14 million South African users. And if you as a business are not tapping into that, what are you thinking? Your people are there. You don't need to go search, like they're literally there. And even when you do your ads and so forth, you can literally check, okay, this is my age demographic, this is who I'm looking into. You literally speak into your market. Have you noticed sometimes when you've spoken about something, then in your timeline, you'll just get an update of something out of this world, but
it's a little bit creepy.
It's and that's the thing, that's the power of it, and people still are not catching into it. So for me, it's done wonders for my business. Hashtag Lenoma Legal, by the way. I hope people are using that hashtag. Yes, because simply people are looking into it, and because I'm not in the traditional legal space, I'm actually able to go wild with my marketing. And the way that now it works, even if people don't necessarily need my services now, they know who to go to. And if somebody else needs something, I'm the first point of contact, which is another revenue stream I'm looking into tapping into. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Well, social media really is responsible for many of my clients. It's responsible for many people that have bought my book. I wrote and self-published a book. And I marketed it largely through social media, and it's done exceptionally well by only being marketed through social media. I was asked to write for an international publication, Our Father's Effect, through social media, through the things that I wrote. But I have to also say it's important to use social media to push your authentic brand. And not to want to box yourself into a certain space that you're not. I mean, for instance, if you were to ask anyone that's on my social media what my brand is, I'll ask her.
She's very controversial.
That's what a lot of people say. But it's not controversy, it's just staying true to who I am. I tackle social justice issues, and they are uncomfortable discussions at times. And so people then perceive that as controversial. But I'm true to that, and as a result of being true to that, it then exposes me to people that want to align themselves with what I do, or it informs others to not be aligned to what I do, and that's okay. That just means I don't play in your field. But it has exposed me to many people that have said, please come on board, please come and have this interview, please come for a TV show, please come for an interview, simply because I am who I am, whether I'm sitting here or whether I'm on social media. So, and I understand the power of my brand, playing in the humanity space, that ultimately I am human, more than I am a businesswoman, more than I'm anything. And so people need to relate to someone who is human. And that's what I bring onto my social media, that I'm human, that I have my flaws. You'll know about them on social media. I don't try and box myself into this unattainable goal or something that you can't relate to. So it's important to, and I know she plays it differently because of what she does. So it's important to understand your brand and to advertise your brand accordingly in the most authentic way on social media. And it will open the doors that it needs to open.
Wow. Something else that is common here is your journey into entrepreneurship. Neither of you have partners. You started your businesses on your own. How was that experience being alone? Entrepreneurship can be a very lonely space. Who was your biggest support, if any, and how did you get through the really, really tough times?
Last year, because I started in June, so the first 6 months were incredibly terrible. And I have the type of personality that feeds off people. So if I'm alone, I go crazy. So I literally need to be around people, and then your energy gives me, life. So it is very, 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 very difficult. I think it's one of the things that we discount once you start your entrepreneurship journey. You don't think about, hey, will I actually be able to work alone in a house? Alone. Like, will you be okay, But I have wonderful friends. One of them is here, actually. There, she's chilling with her arms. They keep me sane. They keep Leah together. I'm like this because the crazy goes out to them, and then I'm normal again. So yeah, those are my people.
Thandi?
Okay, my support was my own life coach, because every life coach needs a life coach. So he's based in Johannesburg, but I mean, him and I chat every week. But my second support structure was my friend who's already in the social entrepreneurship space. So she's really walked me through so many issues. And I have to highlight one of the issues. One of the issues that you run into, that you don't expect to run into as a young woman who's beautiful, you can see I'm beautiful, right? Who's beautiful in the social entrepreneurship space is funding that wants to come your way in exchange for a sexual favor. Men, you are not all trash, but you need to stop it. And you need to talk to your friends to stop it. Because really, you'll be sitting with someone, and it's in the small connotations. You'll be sitting with someone about to close a business deal, and they'll throw a "you're so beautiful" and sexy comment. And my question is always, would you be saying that to a male business person sitting across you to say, "You're so handsome and so sexy, let's seal this deal"? No, you wouldn't. So the patriarchal standards also in the business space are making it very difficult for women to make choices that are morally right for them in the business world. So that's one of the challenges that you always have to fend off men that want to be venture capitalists or fund you in some way in exchange for sexual favors. It's important for any young woman that comes into this space to be sure of who they are and to understand exactly what it is that they will not compromise on. Because I imagine it's difficult when someone says, here's 40 million, let's just go to the hotel quickly, but 40 million you'll get after the deed is done. So it's important to set standards for yourself to say what it is that you will accept and what it is that you will not accept. And if you walk into that space with that mindset already in you, because it's important to walk into that space with that mindset, you'll know what to do and what not to do. And you won't compromise certain things in the pursuit of being financially successful.
Wow, that is so true.
Yeah.
And mindset is a very, very important thing. And I think both of you, because you don't speak about external support, everything's really coming from within with both of you. So mindset, how would you say you changed, developed, maintained an entrepreneurial, strong mindset? Because it's very difficult. We all know, we all read it everywhere that it's mindset. But how did you do it? How do you keep it going?
It's not always hey, I'm good, I can do this, I can win. Then you get your downers, like, why did I do this? Can I go get a job? You know. But the love for what you do. I mean, I wake up and I'm getting the kids ready, and then bam, I get an idea. Oh, this is a way that I can make money out of the normal legal. Like it just comes. It's what you love, you know. So it's about the love, because you'll find a way to keep it alive. You'll find a way to keep it exciting, and because it's still so young, when I'm excited about it, the whole world is excited about it, you know. When I'm raving about normal legal, yes, we're the first in South Africa, the world's like, yeah, you're the first, come here, you understand? So everybody jumps on the train simply because I'm on that tip. So you can now imagine, if you allow failures to get into that, you'll never really get to that point where you're saying, oh, okay, I'm successful, because you need to be consistent, even on the good days and the bad days. They shouldn't be able to see that you're going through a rough patch.
I'm a life coach, so I've got this on lockdown. Well, you know, I have down days myself, but none of you will see them because they happen behind closed doors, and I cry and do whatever I have to do in that moment. But my vision keeps me moving forward. Like she said, you'll get 1,000 no's and you'll get 1 yes. So when I've gotten a no, I've wired myself to understand that a no is not really rejection to me per se. It's just that maybe you don't need me in your business space or in your collaboration at that moment, and that's fine. I move forward. And the fact of the matter is there's always people wanting you to venture onto their space, always. So I keep that also in mind, that just because I got a no does not mean that there's no yes out there, and I go out and go look for a yes. But also I'm a very resilient person by nature. Nothing really gets me down. You know, I always say that I'm no one's tragedy, and I'm a tragedy of nothing. So whatever happens or whatever anyone does nothing to me in the great scheme of things. Momentarily, perhaps, yes, but I don't allow myself to feel the pinch for longer than I have to.
And also, as a woman, you know, I thought it was I'm in the legal space, so there's not so many of us. It's everywhere. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
Even in the space that I'm in, you know, I'm in the tech space now, and we're still being underrepresented, and it's such a problem. And that literally means you need to work twice as hard to be on the same level as the next person constantly. So as from a female perspective, you constantly need to work harder, you know. And yes, it might literally mean today, even if you don't feel like smiling, you need to smile, you know, when you make a pitch, or because sometimes it's perceived like you're being too bossy. So I mean, it happens, but yeah, it's one of those things you constantly need to work harder than the next as a woman, actually.
Coaching as well is becoming more popular, and people might be a bit skeptical of what it is and if it helps.
Look, life coaching it does help. Basically, it is helping you find those things that are inherently good in you to move you forward in whatever area of life that you're struggling in. And when you look at society at large, society has a damaged psyche. It does. And it's very few of us that are channeling our energies to finding the solutions to the mental and emotional issues that we have. If you look at what is happening in the country right now, where women are being raped, where women are being killed, where women and children are being trafficked, it's a damaged psyche, because no normal person who has all their mental faculties in place will ever get to that space where they're killing anyone or they're raping anyone. So our work is that much more important in light of these big events. But it's not just a work aligned to these big issues that are happening in the country. It's work that's also aligned to helping you walk a journey with you. And that doesn't mean I know best what journey you need to walk on. I obviously need to consult with you, get a sense of where you want to go, and help you, because I'm trained to have those tools and techniques to help you get from where you are to the next point. And I wanted to say that, like if you look at individuals, and you look at families, and you look at society, we're sick, guys. Like, we're really sick, There's women are fighting men are fighting women. We're fighting each other on the basis of race. We're fighting each other on the basis of classism. We're fighting each other on so many levels. And that kind of violence stems from emotional and mental issues. And you cannot run away from the fact that we need collectively, but also as individuals, but also as families, to sit down with someone that can help us move us forward. I'm trained to do that, but also over and above being trained, it's really my calling. Like I said earlier on, that it's something that manifested itself when I was even still in corporate. So I understand there's a lot of mushrooming, and everyone calls themselves life coach, etc. But I actually had to go and study for it. And I studied a program called Neuro-Linguistic Programming, which speaks to the brain and the nervous system to help the brain and the nervous system decode and encode certain messages that ultimately become one's beliefs, that ultimately become one's way of being in the world.
Very insightful, thank you. Yeah. So before we open up to our audience for questions, have both of you got some advice to an aspiring entrepreneur, somebody that might be going through a difficult time right now, or somebody just thinking to make the transition, perhaps some industry specific or technological specific insight that you might want to share?
I'll say a friend of mine is based in Zimbabwe. He's flippin' amazing. I'm still busy with my pitch deck for Seed Stars. So I'm telling him my ideas, and I tell him this audacious goal that I have, and I'm like, okay, maybe I'll try and be bold. Then he sends me a voice note. He says, Leah, be bold. And that one thing just literally, and I'm like, oh, hey, be bold, whatever you do, whatever space that you're in, go for it, I know it sounds la-di-da-di-da, but it works. Actually, once you take that first step, and you just don't let the momentum die. So once you take that first bold step, run with it.
Fantastic. Be bold.
Compliance. Because when I ventured out into the murky waters of entrepreneurship, I had this bold idea to heal the nation, and this is how I'm going to do it. And I forgot about the fact that I have to register my company.
She forgot about me.
I have to actually have a registered company so that funds can come through to a registered company's bank account. It's just one of those things that, I hit my foot against because I was much more passionate about content and concepts, and this is where the support structure came in of a friend who's in the social entrepreneurship space, who ultimately helped me, because nothing happens without compliance. I know it's tedious, And whilst you're sitting in corporate and thinking of venturing into these murky waters, get the compliance part sorted out so that when you do finally venture out, that's one less thing to stress about. Compliance.
Get your paperwork in order. Right. Ladies, thank you so much. I'd like to take some questions from the audience if there's anybody that'd like to ask. We've got a hand behind you.
Good evening, everyone. My first question is, can I get a job? Just joking. No, I wanted to ask. You are both in very different spaces, but I want to ask, how do you, we have companies like Nokia who've been in the game for a long time, but they've kind of like fell through. How do you make sure that you stay ahead of your game and not be one of the Nokia companies?
That's a very good question. How I stay ahead of my peers in the industry is really by separating myself in terms of my skill set. I specialize in single co-parenting and blended families. So I'm a life coach for those spaces, specializing in those spaces. And really, I haven't met any other life coach that specializes specifically in those areas. So it's important to find your niche and focus on pursuing and perfecting your niche.
For me, it's about have your vision. Right now, the world is going crazy over it's like a prototype. The website is a prototype. Now I'm thinking, if the whole world is going crazy about this thing, what are they going to do when they see what I have in my mind 10 years from now? So it's about thinking long term. Already I have things in place, to get me ahead in terms of even the partners that I'm leveraging off relationships with. So yes, think long term.
You answered the question by saying you find your niche. What would your advice be on finding a niche or choosing between different topics to make your niche, your area of specialization?
I really, my niche was really something that I was passionate about. And it's something that I had also lived experientially. It's something also that I had studied intensely, simply because I was passionate about it and I chose to pursue that. That does not mean that I don't coach on other avenues. That just means this is my core thing in my business. Really, other things in the business are not as important as this niche that I have to focus on and perfect. And also I would say, don't limit yourself to saying your niche is one thing. It can be three things. If you're really good and passionate about three things in your entrepreneurial space, then pursue those things and perfect those things. So your niche is really something that you're really passionate and really excel in. And you need to be honest with yourself. If you don't excel in being a good accountant, then don't pursue that. Pursue that which you are really good at, but that which also gives you immeasurable joy after you've done it. Because it's also important to go home and sleep better, because you've been in pursuit of something that is really attuned to who you authentically are. Okay.
Sure.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ricardo Twala. I was not done actually formulating my question, but I was afraid they might close the opportunity. So I've got two questions. The first one is twofold. The first one is if you were given like supreme power, ultimate power in Africa to just do anything that's going to help entrepreneurs here, what is it that you would do? The second part of that first question is, now that you don't really have the power, how would you advise the entrepreneurs to deal with whatever that you would change? I don't know if I make sense. Yes. And then the second question, remember the first one is twofold. The second one is to, I think Thandi will help us with this one. What is the one thing that frustrates you the most with entrepreneurs, especially in the early stages of developing an enterprise? Yes.
Shoot.
Hi. I can't speak for Africa. Shocking enough, like I said, I don't travel, so I haven't been. But in terms of what I've experienced locally, it's about mentality. The biggest challenge for entrepreneurs is about their mind in terms of their way of thinking. Someone will see, oh, Leah's winning in the tech space, then I'll go join. But you know absolutely nothing in terms of why is she winning. Okay? And now you want to step into that and you're going to fail because it's not you. It's not part of what you're passionate about, you know. So it's for me, what I would change is the mentality. And in terms of now, seeing as I'm not almighty and powerful, I just hope that through me living my life and shining, that the next person actually learns from that they get inspired by that, and it changes their minds. Because I'm not, I live in Bloem. I was born here. Like, I went to Roseview. I fell here. Like, you understand? So I hope that because people will be able to relate, then they'll be like, oh, okay, if she can do it, then I can also do it.
What frustrates me with entrepreneurs is service levels. There is an apathy in how we deliver service as entrepreneurs. And our work ethic, for me, takes a dip when we become entrepreneurs versus when we are in the corporate world. I'm not sure why that is, because when you're working for someone, your work ethic and your service levels are way higher. And I think partly it's because we don't take ourselves seriously and we don't take our customers seriously. It's important to take your customers seriously, even at grassroots levels. Even if you have one client, it's important to deliver on time. It's important to communicate. It's important to build build and maintain good relationships with your clients. So what I see happening a lot in the entrepreneurial space and also in public sectors is the service levels. We need to up our service levels, and we complain when we don't receive clients, and we say, oh, these clients just want to do business with white people. They don't want to do business with black people. You know why? You know, and I'm not trying to put black business people on the spot, but we need to up our service levels. I can't expect Leah to be okay with mediocre service just because I'm a black girl. I must up my service levels to such a high standard that Leah comes to me and seeks my product simply on the basis of my service levels. Because the same product she can find elsewhere, but she needs to come to me because of service.
And if you had supreme power, what would you do?
Oh my goodness. I think if I had supreme power, I would, I think I really would teach, because I'm very passionate about service levels in South Africa. I would really teach people how to view their clients and how to give their clients the best service. And I mean, I gave the best service even when I was a cashier at Clicks. I used to work for Clicks and I was a cashier. And my line, I was telling them earlier that my queue was always the longest. And it wasn't because I was slow. It was because whilst I was cashing up, I was talking to Thandi and saying, Thandi, so how are you? And you want? And to what gebeur last week? So, and they would come next week, and I would remember that this is Thandi Hendrik, or this is whoever, you know. I learned to treat and value my customers in the smaller spaces. And when I was starting out in the corporate world. And it's something that I've learned to take with me into where I'm at, just to understand and value people as people, because at the end of the day, you're doing business with people. You know, yes, it's an exchange of cash and goods and services ultimately, but at the end of the day, it's a person. Learn to value and appreciate the person for just being a human being. And there's a saying that says, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. It's real. People come back and seek your services because of the way that you made them feel. If I sell you bread with a callous attitude versus if I give you bread with a good heart and I value you, I have the potential to go further in my business simply because I value you as a human being. Service levels, that's what I would change.
That answers all three of your questions.
So I think what I can take from this, and it's very exciting, in as much as I'm afraid of all these cookies and things on the internet now that know so much about me and my search habits and all of that, it's exciting that lawyers can actually go online now and work anywhere in the world. So in that, we're not really going to be confined to South Africa anymore. So I think that's just exciting. It's just a comment I wanted to make. And then secondly, also, I really have an issue with service delivery. I know I'm young, so this might sound a bit like, I don't know, disrespectful or something, but being at university, I've worked with quite a few companies, especially those that make hoodies and stuff, and like, the incompetency level is insane. Like, I want to work with people from Stellenbosch and Joburg and Durban. I don't want to work with Bloem people because it's generalizing, but a lot of them are so incompetent and they don't want your business. It's like you constantly have to run behind them and find business from them. They don't want to, I don't know if that makes sense, but it's just comments I wanted to make. Yeah. But thanks for inspiring.
Thank you. Leah and Thandi, thank you so very much.